Shut up now.
You did, of course. After I pressed go live, you didn't show up when we live now.
Well, we're live now, so with Rob's.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh God.
No, come on, man.
Here we go. Yep. Sorry about that. Rob threw me off for a bit there, so now we're all good to go. There goes the well-planned intro I had in my mind, but such is the way with our GTHub podcast. Yes, I'm Forza R18, and the reason why we're starting off in such a garbage fashion is because Rob messed everything up again.
Thanks,
Hi.
So
Rob.
say hello, Rob.
Bitter schön, Penzer. Bitter.
Of course, you have to speak Pidgin German to make everything better. Yeah. Well, in today's podcast, we have the mentioning briefly of the total 6 hours of Spa from the FIWC Super Season, and the Acura Sports Car Challenge from Mid-Ohio with the IMSA series, and there was also some Super GT racing that happened, and some news items that we'll mention as well, and a preview of the N24 and the ELMS, perhaps.
Perhaps.
But don't hold me accountable on that one, because we don't know yet. But going straight into things, we shall go with the Super GT.
Oh. Yeah, I still haven't actually got round to watching that yet.
I know. I'm gonna briefly mention the results now, because
okay.
I can't remember the race either. So
Because it was on a Thursday for you.
it was on a Thursday for me. So yeah, that was completely strange. I forgot it was Golden Week, which throws everything off. So yeah, well done, Nismo TV, for not reminding me correctly. I was only reminded of the race happening because of Mikhail actually reminding me. I was like, what? What are you talking about? What race is on? Oh.
Oh, dude, that's brilliant.
It is, yeah, so that happened. But the number, we'll start with qualifying here. The number 38%, Tsurumu Lexus, Yuji Tachikawa was on pole. He got his 23rd career pole in GT500. GT300 had the number 55 Arta BMW Shinichi Takagi starting on pole there. It was his 13th career GT300 pole. And that actually was how GT300 ended up. The number 55 Arta BMW GT3 of Shinichi Takagi and Sean Walkinshaw comfortably sailed away to win. This also gave Takagi his 19th GT300 win.
Oh, wow.
And with it claimed the overall win record.
Wow.
In GT300, which allowed him to break the tie he had with former co-driver Mori Onita. And this was also the third win in the last 5 races at Fuji for the BMW M6-3. So they can win somewhere. It's only in Japan, apparently.
Oh, yeah, of course, because they won last year when the Art Autobucks NSX won the GT500 class as well.
Yes. That's why it said third win in the last 5 races. Well done for you.
Come on, it's been a long weekend.
Excuses.
Excuses, exactly. Second was the number 31 Toyota Prius APR GT of Koki Saga and Kohei Hirate, and third was the number 11 Gainer Tanax GTR Nismo GT3 of Katsuyuki Hironaka and Hironobu Yasuda, and GT500 was won by Nismo. So yeah.
For once.
For once. They broke a year winless streak, I believe, with the number 23 Moto Otsek Nismo GTR of Sujo Matsuda and Ronnie Quintarelli. And this was Nismo's third win in the last 4 runnings of the Fuji 500 kilometers. And having a pattern with the Fuji 500 kilometers, apparently, another record was extended, that being Sujo Matsuda becoming the first GT500 driver to win 20 races.
Wow.
So that extended his own all-time career record. Second was the number 39 Denso Kobulko Sard Lexus LC500 of Heikki Kovalainen and Sho Suboi, who got a podium on his debut in GT500. Yeah, but watch him. He's going to be something.
If I reckon he's LMP1 in a few years' time.
If Toyota sticks around, yeah, he's going to be in one of their cars, I suspect. Possibly an extra entry at Le Mans. Who knows? But rounding out the GT500 podium was the number 38 Zent Tsurumo Lexus LC500 of Yuji Tachikawa and Hiroaki Ishiura. So they didn't quite make a clean sweep, but they gave it a good shot. And the unfortunate passing that happened over the weekend for the Team Le Mans Wacos Lexus, they came home 4th, so just off the podium for them.
Yeah.
And with that, we shall segue into the other thing I forgot to mention, which was, of course, the Blancpain GT Sprint Cup racing from Brands Hatch.
The now bastardized for DTM Brands Hatch.
You'll have to explain that one because I don't know.
Because they've had to put extra debris fencing on the Grand Prix loop in the infield. And that used to be a really, really popular area for people to take photos of the cars because you could get some really good shots of the cars at speed and also without too much debris fencing in the way. But now DTM have mandated that they put extra debris fencing up. So
because DTM and F1 just love to change every track they race on.
Oh, is this the bit that you were mentioning, or is this something?
That's the exit at Paddock Hill Bend.
Oh, this is Paddock Hill Bend. Yeah,
there's Paddock Hill Bend on the run up to Druids.
Oh no, I just put a random photo on there. Sorry.
Oh, that's what I thought you were trying to prove. That's just like, wait, that's Paddock Hill Bend. Never mind. I hate that turn with passion. Can never get that turn. In any game. But that's just my thing. But you actually were the one who watched it live. I barely caught up on it. Literally Sunday. Actually, no, Monday is when I saw the race. So yeah.
I haven't even seen it.
Oh, well, I'm more prepared than you are. So yeah, well done me.
I feel like I haven't even seen it because I forgot already. Just like every other week.
Well, in fairness, Penta, it wasn't the best race. The first one was start to finish led by the Audis. The second one, start to finish led by the Audis. Actually, in qualifying, the Belgian Audi Club Team WRT had a clean sweep of poles. Dries Van Thor, the 2, scoring pole for race 1. Frederick Verbichen, the 17, being on pole for race 2. Will Stevens and Dries Van Thor won race 1 in the number 2 Audi. And it was also a 1-2 for Belgian Audi Club Team WRT with the number 1 being second with Alex Riveres and Christopher Mies. And Michael Meadows and Raffaele Marciello rounded out the podium in the 88 Mercedes-AMG GT3 for AKA ASP team. Pro-Am Cup was won by the number 39 TP12 Kestel Racing Ferrari 488 GT3 of Pitti Birambakti and Carlo Van Dam, who we might mention later on. And Silver Cup was won by the number 31. Hang on, as I pause for a garbage truck to go by.
Yeah, it was won by the number 31 Bentley Continental GT3 of Team Parker Racing with Joshua Cagle and Aaron Taylor-Smith.
Yes, the number 31 inherited Silver Cup win after the winning number 37 BMW was disqualified after not respecting black and orange flag.
Oh, yeah, the meatball flag.
Yep.
The
Or some, I think it was an incident on track or something like that. But
I have no idea.
they got penalized for that. That's what cost them that win. So the Bentley inherited that one. And in race 2, it was, say it with me, everybody, Belgian Audi Club Team WRT. Yeah, who got yet another 1-2 finish. This time, first was the number 17 of Stuart Leonard and Frederick Ravish, who led from start to finish, really. And, well, the number 1 got in second place again with Alex Riveras and Christopher Mies. And, well, it was an Audi whitewash with third going to the number 66 Audi RA LMS of Attempto Racing and Stein Schotthorst and Kelvin Vanderlinde. The Pro-Am Cup went to yet another Audi, the number 26 Santalok Racing Audi RA LMS of Niels Stevenart and Marcus Winkelhock. And Silver Cup went to not an Audi. I know, but still another German mark. In the number 37 3Y Technology BMW M6 GT3 of Andrew Watson and Lucas Moraes, who got the win finally after being denied in race 1, and also ironically being handed the race 2 win after the number 90 AKSP Mercedes was penalized for something. Oh, it was for spinning the one of the Bentleys that caused a safety car early on. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, there was an incident in like lap 1, turn 1.
Opening lap,
or
turn 1.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Both Team Parker Bentleys, Team Parker Racing Bentleys were taken out in that incident caused by the number 90. And also taken out in that was the one of the AKSP Mercedes, I think.
And the number 19.
The SMP Mercedes.
Sorry.
Sorry?
I thought you said SMP, and I was thinking.
Yeah, SMP are fielding a Blancpain entry this year.
I know they're doing it in
Endurance
Cup.
Yeah, well then at Zolder they had one, and this weekend or last weekend they had it at had one in Brands Hatch as well. I don't know if it continues for the season, but
oh wow,
yeah, they had one in Sprint again.
Yup, and the number 19 got on as well. 5 cars that didn't finish in that race, making it only 15 out of 20 cars that finished race 2, compared to 19 out of 20 cars in race 1.
And that was down on the entry for Zolder as well, because there were 24 cars for Zolder. Yeah. But the race only had 20, so Sprint Cup losing entries there. Yeah. The only notable thing in race was in race 1 when the 63 went from last place to 10th, so making up 10 positions. Oh, also being a rallycross car at the same time, yeah.
GRT planning an entry for Global Rallycross next year.
Well, there was the number 19 in qualifying too, twice.
Yeah.
Is he Paris Compang?
I was going to say that Gregor chap in the YouTube comments would be pleased to note that the GRT Rallycross program will be running 4-wheel drive.
Yes, actually. he will finally be right about one thing and one thing only.
Yes, before we all tell him to
fuck off.
Shut up. Yeah, that as well.
Oh, we have an all-wheel drive GRT mentioned in the chat. Well done.
Yes.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you get banned.
Daniel. Thank you. Get banned. Actually, where does the series go next?
Silverstone.
Schedule. Really? I thought that was endurance.
Oh, you mean you didn't say that?
Well, technically, the Blancpain GT series as a whole, the next event is the 3 hours of Silverstone for the Endurance Cup, but the Sprint Cup goes somewhere after that. Oh, okay. That's not for another while though, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
that's
that might be under the lights then. They might put the floodlights on there like they usually do.
22nd to 24th of June. We have two endurance races coming up with Silverstone 18th to 20th of May and Paul Ricard 1st to 2nd of June.
Oh yeah, of course, because they had to move Paul Ricard's because the date for that is now taken up by the French Grand Prix.
For the Grand Prix, yes, of course. I had forgotten there was a French Grand Prix happening this year.
Because it's like, yeah, it's because it was like last year I actually got to stay up in Malta and watch the Blancpain Endurance Series 6 hours of Le Castellet over a couple of beers in the flats. So, what I say?
That's a good track for GT racing, actually. Paul
It's a good track for endurance racing in general. I think the longest back in the European Le Mans Series days, they actually extended it to an 8-hour. Back in 2010, I think. Yeah, I think it was. But for 2010, I think they extended it to 8 hours.
Really? Okay. You would remember that. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, that was so that was quite an interesting track. I think the first time they actually had a non-1,000-kilometer race was Interlagos 2007, which was 1,000 miles.
And there will be another 1,000-mile race in ACO calendar with the 1,000 miles of Sebring. Yeah. Which we before.
I hope they bring back the Mil Milhas Interlagos when it returns to the calendar. Yeah. When it comes back on the calendar, they set the distance to 1,000 miles.
No, it'll be the 6 hours of Sao Paulo again.
Damn it. Bit more variety though. Come on.
We can't have 2,000-mile races because there's already a 24-hour, another 24-hour. Oh wait, no, hang on. This isn't the super season, so yeah, they could actually put another long-distance race in.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we'll refer to it as the 1,600 kilometers then, Kazuo.
Oh god, what is he correcting?
You just said in the comments, someone kill miles, as in miles as in the measure of distance.
No, yes, I know, but what is he? Oh, 1,600. Yo, never mind. I see what he's doing. Yeah. Actually, just to annoy you, it should go to the whole original distance they wanted to do, which was the 1,500 miles of
Yes! The 2,400 kilometers of Sebring.
Actually, which was funny, because the first time they announced it, they said it was going to be the 1,500-mile race of Sebring. We're just going, so that coincidentally just happens to be 12 hours, does it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks like it might be...
When you did the distance, you were just like, that looks like that's going to be a 12-hour race.
Yeah, that was... Oh dear, that was funny, that was...
But yeah, non-Blancpain for a while.
Good.
Sprint for a while.
The Sprint series is boring anyway. Endurance Cup is where all the entries are.
That's why you watch GT Masters instead, which is soon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, do 2,414.016 kilometers to be precise. Because says Daniel Hurd.
2,414.016 kilometers of Sebring. Is that better? Yeah.
Yeah. It runs way easier off the mouth, and we avoid Imperial. Nah, 1,500 miles.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with 1,500 miles. Yeah.
The one time I'll actually admit that 1,500 miles works, but using Imperial instead of metric works better.
Well, if we use the metric system, then it wouldn't be the Indianapolis 500, would it?
It'd be the Indianapolis 800.
Yes, and that doesn't work as a distance.
Moving on.
I can just see Penta thinking, oh, God.
Anyway, moving past our insanity here, we shall pivot to the, well, the bit that you saw, because you were producing it, really, and that would be the Acura Sports Car Challenge at Mid-Ohio, the IMSA race. Returning to Mid-Ohio at long last.
Oh, I tell you what, that track looks awesome.
Had nice weather, too, so that was a bonus.
Yeah, I know.
For once, it wasn't raining there, yeah.
Yeah. And when we said earlier in the chat, it gets worse.
Does it get worse?
Yes, it does. For me, at least.
Oh.
Yes, when I
You want to share
managed
your
to-
anecdote then, do you?
Oh.
yeah, I ended up spending the night in a radio studio. Very comfortable.
Because he's an idiot, doesn't understand how to use a door handle. But moving past that,
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I was actually producing the actual race broadcast on about 3 hours sleep, just over 3 hours sleep. So yeah, that was fun.
yes. But before we get into the race proper, there was interesting bit of news, or not news, an interesting bit of information I came across from the practice sessions that happened on Friday for the race, and that was that the Marshall Pruitt had done a lap time comparison for the Team Penske cars, because over the years they have run 3 different cars, or rather they've run 3 different prototypes, and that had 3 different tire brands on it as well, and in 3 different series. So
can I guess the cars, please?
well, first we'll start with the modern one, which is obviously Friday
The-
practice with the
The
Acura
RX-05.
RX-05 on Continentals.
Ox. Yep. Ox. American Rallycross.
Oh. Well done, you.
Thank you.
That time was the fastest time from Friday practice, was a 1:13.601 by Ricky Taylor. And the most recent trip that Team Penske had done to Mid-Ohio was coincidentally also the last time they ran a prototype program prior to this. And that was...
the Porsche RS Spider.
No. That's one of them. However, the last time they were at Mid-Ohio was 2009 in Grand Am with the Riley Mark 20 DP Porsches. It was the 2009 Grand Am series with the number 12 Riley DP with a Porsche engine in it on Pirelli tires, and that had set a 1:19.076 with Timo Bernard and Romain Dumas, and the year before that was the ALMS race with the Porsche RS Spiders on Michelin's. And their time was a 1:08.208.
1 minute 8.
Yeah, so 1:08.208. And that was also with Timo Bernard and Romain Dumas. Also, this time was set in qualifying, which was only good for 3rd on the grid.
Then again, that was back when they were literally piling the downforce onto the P2 cars to the point that they were taking turn 1 flat at Sebring.
Well, the fully unrestricted ALMS cars, yeah. The good old ALMS days, yeah.
Those were the good old days, weren't they? I seem
The
to remember that.
LMP2s and LMP1 cars could battle each other.
I seem to recall that back then as well, that the Porsches were actually able to take turn 1 at Road Atlanta flat.
They were pretty much able to take lots of tracks flat in many, many areas. They could battle with the Audis pretty much wherever they wanted, really.
Because I seem to recall reading something which on Daily Sports Car, I think it was once, which Manu Collard said about the RS Spider, and he literally said that, well, if it had a more powerful, bigger engine, we could probably have won Le Mans outright.
Possibly, yeah.
That's how good the chassis and the aero and everything on that car was. It was literally an LMP1 car, almost, with a small engine. With a smaller engine.
There it is. Penske Perfect Acura. Hey, there it is. Lovely.
It's been there for like the last 5 minutes.
I haven't been looking at the YouTube. Sorry, I was reading my note. Excuse me, Penta.
No.
Excuse me.
No.
You are excused, Forza. Oh shit. Didn't do that.
As you do something wrong. Yeah, of course you do. Anyway, moving to the race proper, we had qualifying, which was as dramatic as the race, really, because it came down to an Acura battle at the front between the number 6 and number 7. However, the number 7 Acura, ARX-05 of Elio Castroneves, persevered and got pole, which swept the Acura Team Penske run of topping the time charts through all the practice sessions, and the quickest lap was a 1:11.837. So that actually brought it a bit closer to that time difference I was telling you about. So not quite Porsche RS Spider levels of performance, but it's getting close. And next year with Michelin's, they should be a damn sight closer to the older ALMS times on certain tracks.
Yep, that is gonna be awesome fun.
GTLM pole was the number 24 BMW of John Edwards, and in GTD was a surprise pole sitter of the number 15 3GT Racing Lexus of Jack Hawksworth. And well, I'll actually just get to that point because I just mentioned GTD. Was pretty much, actually, shockingly, every lap was led by Lexus in GTD.
Wow.
Yep. And that one was a close battle, actually. GTD, the lights flag led by Lexus. However, it was almost not to be, because at the very end, the number 86 Acura of Meyer Shank Racing had something to say about it, and, well, made it damn sight closer than it should have been, really.
Oh wow.
You cannot be possibly surprised by that. You were listening to it while
Yes,
you were
I
producing.
know.
You're like, oh, tell me more. I don't understand anything you're saying.
Yes. Yes. In fairness, I was quite busy looking at the waveforms and other important things.
Yes. However, getting back to the point, the number 15. Was it? No. Was it the number 15? I'm getting my Lexuses crossed up in my mind, aren't I?
It was the Carl Marcelli, Dominic Baumann car that won the race.
Yes, that would be the number 14, Lexus RCF GT3 of Dominic Baumann and Kyle Marcelli. Kyle Marcelli also went on to win the Continental Tire Challenge race the day before, so he had 2 wins in the weekend. And Dominic Baumann got his first IMSA race win in just his 4th start for Lexus. And their breakthrough win for the 3GT car also was the first North American win for the RCF GT3. And with Alvaro Parents and Catherine Legge finishing 2nd in the number 86 Acura, they, in a bizarre twist of fate, have catapulted themselves into 2nd in the GTD title standings. However, they're not a full season entry.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, they are well placed in the Tequila Patron North American Endurance Cup or Championship. However, they're only running the NAC races, so hopefully they can extend their piecemeal sponsorship plans together to bring them to Detroit in a couple of weeks' time. Because otherwise, the string of good luck for them will come to an end. That also actually is a good point, because Alvaro Parent is riding a string of 3 podium finishes in 3 different GT cars.
What? The Acura, the Bentley, and a Mercedes, I think?
Absolutely, yeah. That is correct.
Wow. Oh, wow, that is brilliant.
Driving the Bentley, he got a podium at VAR. He had a podium with, I think, was can't remember which Mercedes team he was in, but he had a podium in that one, and now he's got a podium in the Acura. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, he also has some broken ribs while doing this as well. So.
Oh, is that from his VIR act?
Massively horrible VR accident. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of that, and I don't particularly want to mention it.
Well, it can't be any worse than the one he had at St. Pete. So yeah. He's made a habit of balling his Bentley into tiny little bits. Yeah.
Well, in fairness, St. Pete was more due to the car actually failing on him.
True, however, still an accident is an accident.
Yes, but not his fault.
True, however.
And yes, Forza did say something about Detroit, because I think that's where the next round is.
Yes,
Belle Isle
coincidentally, the Belle Isle, Belle Isle Park.
It's only for prototyping GTD though, because all the GTLM teams are in France.
Well, some prototype teams, I think, or isn't there? No, I don't think any prototype teams are making the trek this year, so no.
Ah, it's a shame.
I can't remember if they are though. I have to look at the.
I think there are going to be quite a few of the drivers actually having to catch the overnight flight from Detroit to Paris as well.
Some of them have dispensation because Tony Kanaan and don't have to go to test day because they're are IndyCar duties that same weekend as well.
And they're platinum drivers as well.
Well, if you actually ran the race last year, you aren't I think your rules have been changed where you're permitted to skip test day if you ran prior year's race. I think. You're just required to do the sim hours, I think.
Right. Yeah, because those two guys massively experienced. I think. Bourdais, actually, that's a good question. What about Sebastian Bourdais?
Gets dispensation as well.
Oh yeah, of course, because he had to miss last year's race because of his accident at Indianapolis.
Well, he also won Le Mans 2 years ago, so
yeah, and he won the race the previous year, so.
So I think that there's no experience claim there. Yeah, I think actually the rule is if you've raced at Le Mans in the past 5 years, you don't have to. You're not required to be at test day to get your lap. I think that's how the rule works.
Oh, nice.
Plus, if you're a platinum driver, you get you don't have to do it either. I think.
But if you're a platinum driver who's new to Le Mans,
then you have
Mr. Alonso, Mr. Button. So Petrov gets to skip it. Vitaly Petrov. Mikhail Aloshin would also get to skip it.
Possibly, but they're not going to because they need running in the LMP1 cars.
Yeah, they need to actually develop that thing.
Actually, would Fernando Alonso be at test day? Because, or no? Is there an F1 Grand Prix that clashes?
No, because there was the clash between the Grand Prix and between Bahrain and Grand Prix and the Prologue at La Castellet. But that was that, and I think he's good for the rest of the season now.
Oh, okay. Right. All right. So that solves that. Anyway, getting back to the IMSA, as I got sidetracked again, everything happens that way. GTLM was won by the, ironically, the Porsche, because in WEC, it was not to be for the Porsches. However, in IMSA, the Porsches can win somehow. I don't know how that works. But Lawrence Van Thor and the number 912 Porsche won with Earl Bamber, and that was only because they passed Con Di Filippi and the number 24 BMW, or number 25 BMW actually, sneaked past them when he had to stop, and my results have gone down. Oh well, wonderful. Hang on here just a second. Okay, that's not going well. IMSA, why have you failed me?
Because it's IMSA. What do you expect?
That's true.
Wrecked.
Hang on here, let me reboot this and I can tell you the correct order.
Oh, just to prove we're live tonight?
Yes?
In the true spirit of Radio Le Mans, I found a football match.
Oh, go on then.
Soccer match. It's half-time at the Stade de France in Paris. It's the French Coupe de France finale. The score is currently Les Herbiers 0, Paris Saint-Germain 1. What's quite amazing about that is that Paris Saint-Germain are one of the richest football clubs in the world, and Les Herbiers are currently trying to avoid relegation from the 3rd division.
Yes.
Yes, right. I found the results now. So the number 912 Earl Bamber of number 912 Earl Bamber, yes, because he's a car genius. The 912 Porsche GT team, 911 RSR of Earl Bamber and Lawrence Vanthoor won by 1.6 seconds over the number 25 BMW team RLL M8 GTE of Alexander Sims and Connor DeFilippi, like I mentioned before. And rounding out the podium was the number 3 Corvette Racing C7R of Jan Magnussen and Antonio Garcia. And the Fords were just off the podium. Newly American citizen Ryan Briscoe was 5th in the 67 Ford GT. Just had to mention that because it was a news item worth mentioning. Oh, I didn't mention who was 3rd in GTD, and that was the number 48 of Brian Sellers and Madison. Paul Miller Racing and the Lamborghini Huracan GT3. That rounds that out. And the overall race, like I had mentioned before, was dominated from start to finish basically by the accurate Team Penske ARX 05s, and Elio Castroneves and Ricky Taylor brought home the first win for accurate Team Penske, and their teammate in the number 6 of Dane Cameron and Juan Pablo Montoya were seconds, and it was a great showing for the Mazda team, Yost Mazda RT24Ps, with a podium for Oliver Jarvis and Tristan Nunez. However, the 55 Jonathan Bomarito and Spencer Piggott had some sort of suspension issue, I believe, is what took it out of the running.
Yeah, I think there was a collision between them and it was the Sun Energy 1 car.
Ah, yes, that's what it was.
That's why the Sun Energy 1 car was so many laps down at the end.
Right, okay. So they had the they had it coming together, which took out the 55, who was running so well in the race. It was a shame he got taken out, but the Mazdas came good, and so did the Acuras. It was a banner day for the Japanese brands there, because the Cadillacs had nothing to show for their pace. All they could do was 4th and 5th. 4th being the number 5 Mustang sampling Cadillac of Felipe Albuquerque and Joao Barbosa, and 5th being the number 10 Konica Minolta Cadillac DPI VR of Ranga van de Zande and Jordan Taylor. The top...
Rodney Sandstorm, surely.
No. He was nowhere to be found, strangely, this weekend, actually. I think he was probably still in Talladega.
That probably explains that then.
Yeah.
Or holding some sign for Monster.
Or that, yeah. Actually, no, that's probably what he was doing. He was on sign duty. That's what he was doing. Yeah, he's holding a sign. The top WEC P2 was the number 52 AFS PR1 Matheson Motorsports Ligier SP217 of Sebastian Saavedra and Gustavo Jacobman. So Team Columbia representing the WEC P2s there.
Yak Attack. Doing better than I think the last time he visited Mid-Ohio in a sports car.
Well, he didn't run into Scott Pruitt, so yeah.
I think, as John Hindhoff said, he ran into just about everything apart from the pace car.
Yeah, sounds about right, really. And also the other newly minted American citizen finished 7th, that being the number 99 Red Dragon, Oracle 07 of Steven Simpson and Misha Goikberg. The Tequila Patroni SM Nissans didn't fare so well, however, they were 9th and 10th, and the 54 didn't do well either. They were bottom of the running, however, after Jonathan Bennett just got married and had his birthday. Yeah, actually, I just found out the 54s because that's when John Bennett's birthday is. So yeah, I didn't know that until now. Interesting tidbit there.
Ooh, that's interesting. I did not know that about the 54. It's to do with his birthday.
Yes, I read that on the notebook. That's why I thought, oh, okay. Yes, we're still talking about IMSA because it happened over the weekend. Shush.
Okay, it's making sure that I have the right picture up.
That is the winning Acura. Yes, you can just leave that up. It's a very lovely picture.
Yeah, it's
like
a very
the
lovely car.
Very lovely car. Penske perfect. I can finally say that because they won something and they didn't have any mistakes. It's Penske perfect, everybody.
Didn't have the wing light, so it's not that perfect.
No, well, it was too light outside. They couldn't have the light. Yeah, sadly. Now, if it was raining, then they could have the light on.
They are random.
Yeah. Two more bits of action. No, three more bits of IMSA news. Actually, IMSA and Lamborghini have extended their sanctioning agreement for Super Trofeo series through 2021. So that's good news for them. Magnus Racing have a new driver on their lineup.
Oh yes, I heard about this. Very, very talented, very promising youngster. Looks like he should be very consistent, very good at fuel saving.
Very light, yes, very light.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Definitely.
May give some advantage when it comes to the placement of ballasting the car to ballast the car up to the minimum weight.
Yes, exactly. For those that don't know what we're saying, John Potter welcomed a new baby boy into their life, one William Potter. So their newest driver is in their lineup, ready to go.
Long-term contracts, I believe, till 2040.
Ah, yes, very expensive. William Potter is the most expensive driver they've ever signed.
Brilliant.
Yes, the Magnus guys are wonderful with their press releases. Staying with IMSA just for the last bit, there was some news that Marshall Pruitt put out, and brings up a pretty good point, actually, of, is it time to separate the DPIs and the P2s once and for all? Because there's not much left to strangle the DPIs with, is there?
Some people still disagree.
Well, I don't know how much further we can strangle them, really. We finally got to the sweet spot of BOP where the cars, the DPIs can shine at tracks, i.e. the Mazdas and the Acuras, because the Cadillacs just weren't there on pace, and that's fine. But the P2s were thereabouts, so, I mean, I don't know what to do with the BOP at this point, really. I mean, short of having all the DPIs running a passenger in there with them, I don't know what to do, really. There's nothing to throttle them back anymore.
I mean,
if you can't speed up the P2s, then you have to give them a separate class, really.
I mean, the thing is with the P2s is that the Saavedra Yakima car was 1 minute 13.876 behind the winning DPI and was not far off being lapped.
Yeah.
Well, that brings in the question, though, that if IMSA's not allowed by the agreement they have with the ACO to mess with the WEC P2s, and they can't keep further slowing down the DPIs, because then what is the point of a DPI if it's going to be slower than it's supposed to be, and it's just going to be more expensive WEC P2, then what is the point?
I mean, last year's race, most CTM, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park last year was a classic, where the banana boat of, well, at the time the banana boat was driven by Misha Goikberg and Steven Simpson, damn near won the race.
Yes, well,
and we're overtaking
yeah.
And a gentleman driver in Misha Goikberg was overtaking professional drivers in DPIs for fun.
Yes, but that was also when Cadillacs were the strong suit and there weren't all the DPIs. So I'm wondering if that was actually true pace or if it was a fluke because there was only really one DPI that could win.
Oh wow! Apparently, according to this here from Marshall, the estimates vary from each manufacturer, but most DPIs started the season with something in the 575 horsepower range and are now down to about 515.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're being throttled back massively. And,
Which is not the point of a DPI.
no, exactly. The point of a DPI is that it's supposed to be somewhat manufacturer-led designs and tech. And, well, if you're just going to throttle it back with BOP, then I kind of think they're killing their own series in some form or fashion, really. I don't know.
And I don't see why, like, private Pro-Am cars should be in the same class as factory teams with, like, pro lineups. On top of that.
I kind of see the point if it was...
Yeah, but not in a slow car.
No, well, yeah, it's the issue where it probably needs to have another class, because they canned PC, and that forced all the teams that were running PC, most of them anyway, to come into prototypes. So coincidentally, ironically, the PC teams are the ones that are now fielding prototype entries, and now they're saying that they can't compete for overall wins, which is the reason why they went to prototype in the first place. But short of hamstringing the DPIs, I don't know what they can do, really, other than give them a separate class in which they can compete in their own.
Although then again, I've just thought of another solution.
Ooh, that would be...
Get the people who build the global spec P2 cars, so Orica, Omric, Dallara, because no one
And
uses
don't
the
forget
Riley.
the Riley.
Well,
Still
no one
there, but
well,
no one uses
the Multimatic.
Multimatic Riley, yeah.
Get them to build specific, special IMSA aero kits.
Well, that might be a solution, but I don't think they're allowed to tinker with it by the ACO rules. So
Well, then
that's another thing.
Well, then change the rules. Oh, it's not as simple as that, I know, but...
Not as simple as that. You're talking about the ACO. They are notoriously difficult to negotiate with.
Yeah.
That's why I'm half bewildered by the fact that they're actually going, oh yeah, we'll allow some manufacturing styling into the new LMP1 rules, and you're going, really? They actually want that? That seems like IMSA's doing. What have they done? Like, yeah, I don't know
but then
what's going
again,
on in that
but then
negotiation.
again, the ACO are going to make sure, oh, it has to be to LMP1, not LMP2 chassis, so the cars are going to be the best part of 100 kilograms lighter.
Well, in fairness, I still hold the belief that DPI should be LMP1 chassis and not LMP2 chassis. But then again, I like LMP1 cars, so yeah.
Same here, so... And that would actually make a lot more sense for DPI, in fairness.
Maybe that's the rule going forward for the new LMP regulations, that DPIs become LMP1 cars, thus freeing up LMP2 cars to be the second tier in IMSA. I don't know. This is a question that needs answers, really, because you can't continue forward with the path that you're on when you're alienating your privateer customers, but also kind of angering the factory money that you rely on, that you just got.
Yeah. For everyone's sake, can we just move on? Because we've talked about this for long enough now, and this actually could be a whole episode in itself, actually.
Yeah.
The future of motorsport.
There's also the looming specter that the Cadillac money might not be around for very much longer either, because they fired the guy who was head of the program, who was championing it. So yeah.
Right, that's not good.
Johan Denissen was president of Cadillac, and they fired him and put someone in charge of who used to run GM Canada, who doesn't really have a background in racing. So yeah, stick a pin in that for now. Yeah, moving on, we shall go to, speaking of WEC, we shall go to WEC and mention that race that happened. But we'll start with the news that happened before the race, and that was...
qualifying.
Well, even before that, actually, we had a field of 10 LMP1 cars heading into the race. However, before qualifying, we had that whittled down to a field of 8.
Yes.
And that would be because the two word salad time CEFC TRSM Racing Janetta G60 LTP1 Mechachrome. There we go.
Yep. And funny you mention that because I was chatting to Johnny Palmer after the qualifying session about it.
Oh, really? And what was his thoughts?
Because he mentioned, because he was telling me about the background behind the issues with CEFC at the moment.
Oh,
it's well documented on Reuters.
Being jailed in China, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been arrested in China. The American government are also looking into the company. Their staff are going unpaid at the moment. Oh dear. Yeah, they agreed to buy a $9.1 billion stake in Russian oil major Rosneft last September. They are actually, I think, on the verge of cutting jobs. And when I say jobs, we're talking
millions of jobs,
tens of thousands of jobs, I believe.
Oh dear.
Yeah, at the end of April, a CEFC official said they may cut half their workforce. Their workforce is 30,000.
Oh. So 15,000 people losing jobs, and you're coincidentally sponsoring an LMP1 program. With no money.
Yeah, so as a result, that's why the Manners could not run at Spa, because they would want, because they're basically their main sponsor has no money.
Well, wasn't TRS on the hook for some money as well, and they didn't have it either?
I don't know, but all the main headlines at the moment are with the CEFC situation.
Okay,
and
so
this
CEFC are the main funders of that program then?
I
What
believe
had
so.
read from Daily Sports Car was only the TRS people having money issues, but that would make sense actually.
And actually, there's another thing which it brings up as well.
Oh, yes?
Le Mans.
Well,
Are the ACO going to let them run?
Well, Janetta says that they're working on keeping the car running to Le Mans, so I assume as long as the entry gets paid, they'll be at Le Mans, because I don't think the ACO are going to throw them out.
Well, if they do, I've got the reserve list up.
One of them would be the racing engineering car, I believe.
Nope.
No?
Nope. The number one, P1 on the grid of the reserve list is APM Monaco Team KCMG. The only driver confirmed so far is Louis Pret. And the second entry on the reserve list is the Spirit of Race team with a GTE and Ferrari for Duncan Cameron.
So the
More on him
Duncan
later.
Cameron Ferrari will be brought in then, and
The KCMG with a Dallara LMP2 car.
oh right, okay, that was the Dallara. Okay, well,
So that's if that goes wrong.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's that one though. However, there's also the looming specter, the speaking of the qualifying incident that happened, which narrowed down the field of LMP1s from 8 to 7, really. Because unfortunately there was the accident of Pietro Fittipaldi going into Eau Rouge.
Radion.
Was it Radion? I thought he crashed in Eau Rouge.
Well,
Oh no,
from
he
what
was
I
past it. Yeah, never mind. He was in Radion. Correct.
Radion's the uphill bit.
Yeah, you're right. He had gone. He just crested the hill and crashed there. So you're right. It was in Radion.
The simple way to remember which is Eau Rouge, which is Radion. Radion's the bit that goes up the hill. The rest of it's Eau Rouge.
Yes, you're correct. That's why I forgot which bit he had crashed in, because I was like, would he crash at that part or did he crash at the top part? Yeah. However, he had a heavy incident of head-on into the tire barriers there, so that took out the number 10 Dragon Speed BR1 AER?
Gibson.
Oh,
Dragon Speed car's got the Gibson
yes,
engine.
Dragon Speed has a Gibson, correct. Yes.
And I'm watching a GIF of it right now, and the headlights blink off and on again before he crashes. Now, Eau Rouge is a fast turn, and after that, the car kind of wiggles and then just goes straight on. Now, from what I understand and can work out so far, is because one of the other BR engineering cars it was the Sarazan or Jevizakian car also had electrical issues in qualifying. So it makes there is a fear. So theoretically, the electrical glitch also took out the power steering, which is one of the last things you want going at Eau Rouge Raidillon, because in an LMP1, heck, in an LMP3 car even, it's easy flat. That section of track is. So, but in an LMP1 car, because you've got, what, 650, 700 brake horsepower?
Around there, yeah.
Around that area, and colossal amounts of downforce, because they were running also the high downforce aero, whereas SMP ran the Le Mans aero. And when you've got those kind of aero loads going through all of a sudden going through the steering, you know, yes, really quite bad. In fact, Elton Julian was speaking to Sports Car 365 about it, and he's actually said that for now the LMP1 is parked until we know what happened.
Well, that would put into question that entry for Le Mans as well, so that could actually bring in the third reserve.
The third reserve, and I've closed that. Control-Shift-T, and I'm just bringing it up now. The third reserve on the entry list is the high-class racing Dallara LMP2 car. 2 Dallaras would be in the race then. Anders Fjordbach listed. But yeah, Elton Julian also said that to Sports Car 365, quote, "If they gave me a brand new one tomorrow, I'd still need to know what happened. The next person that drives the car will be myself. I'm not putting my drivers into the car until I drive it and I clear it. I can't have people getting hurt in my team. It's never happened before." End quote. And they have, quote, some clues as to the root cause of the issue that sent Pietro into the wall at Raidillon. It's also understood that the team has been battling chronic electrical issues since taking delivery of the car in March. Elton Julian also said, quote, "It's obvious, it's easy to see what happened, but why did it happen? Until we understand why it happened, we won't run a car. The car is not a Dragon Speed built car. I brought it from a pretty big company." End quote.
Well, keep in mind though, the an interesting tidbit with the BR1s, it does have a history of breaking bones, because Mikel Aloshin, while testing the first chassis, had his arm broken in a testing accident in November.
Oh god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, prior to this accident. So I'm wondering if there's not something wrong with the monocoque that's kind of needs a bit.
There's something wrong with the monocoque, then that's Dallara.
Possible, we don't know. We don't know what's wrong with it. But
Dallara. It's I've got the copy of Race Car Engineering here, with that car featured in it, and it says under quick spec chassis Dallara.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, but I hesitate to think it's on their end because they know how to build strong cars. They've been building Indy cars forever and keep improving the safety on those. So I don't know.
Well, I don't think anyone knows at this point, but
yeah,
just wish Pietro all the best and hope he has a speedy recovery, because that means he's also out at the Indy 500.
Actually, on that front, there's also a spanner in the works for Dale Coyne, because there's not many people that can replace him for the Indy 500 either. So
no, I think Catherine Legg has been mentioned recently.
Very well could be, yeah.
But yeah, yeah, one of the worst accidents I've seen there in some time.
But the qualifying to get back to the points was, of course, won by the Toyota. And actually, no. Before I do that, I'm gonna read the statement from Pietro Fittipaldi, which was, he had suspected fractures to both legs, and he is stable according to the statement written by the FIA, and it reads as follows. Pietro Fittipaldi is well and his condition is stable. He was operated on last night for fractures to both his legs, and the operation went well. He remains under observation at the Centre Hospitalier de la Citadelle de Liege. The left leg was suffered a complex fracture and has been satisfactorily operated upon. Pietro was completely conscious on exiting the operating suite and was able to describe what happened to him. At 10:30 today, he left intensive care, and his father was with him throughout the night. We all wish Pietro very quick recovery and hope to see him in the paddock as soon as possible.
And when we say, sorry, just to point out quickly, when we say last night in this, this was when the press release
Saturday
was
night.
written, which was Saturday night.
Yes.
Saturday night released Sunday morning. No, Friday
Yes.
night rather, and released Saturday morning for the race.
Yes.
Forgot it was a Saturday race for.
Me and you had done the same thing, so...
Yes. I was gonna say, how come I forget it was a Saturday race? I was in the studio on the other side of the desk from two people commentating on it.
Because you're the smart person, that's why. Anyway, the number 7 Toyota Gazoo Racing TS050 hybrid of Kamui Kobayashi and Mike Conway had pole. However, that would not stand because they had a fuel flow sensor.
Oh, really?
They had a fuel flow meter improperly documented, so that threw them to the back of the field. That inherited the number 8 Toyota to be on pole, and that meant that Fernando Alonso would be on pole at his debut WEC race, and that was pretty much how that went for the race as well. However, an LMP2, the number 36 Signatech Alpine of Pierre Tidier and Nicolas Lapierre was on pole. GTE Pro was 67 for Chip Ganassi Team UK, for GT of Harry Ticknell and Andy Prio. GTEM went to the 77 Dempsey Proton Porsche 911 RSR of Christian Reed and Matt Campbell. The interesting bit about the number 7 losing its pole was that it elevated the Rebellion into second to start on the front row. And the interesting bit about that was that the last time a non-hybrid LMP1 was on the front row of a WEC race was the 2012 Silverstone race with Alan McNish qualifying the Audi R18 TDI Ultra. And that was the final outing for a non-hybrid car from Audi, the WEC.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I've just brought up the 3-minute 41-second highlights package for the race. So, shall I do that?
Yes, go on.
Okay. So I've muted Martin Haven's voiceover, and okay, I'm gonna press play. It was a beautiful day in the Ardennes at Spa-Francorchamps. It was actually better weather there than at Mid-Ohio for most of the weekend, I seem to remember.
Yeah, it was sunny when it needed to be at Mid-Ohio.
Yes, but it was absolutely teeming it down on Friday. Lots of very important people. There's Jean Tort, Fernando Alonso, Monsieur Gérard Nouveau, David Richards from ProDrive, glorious weather, packed grandstands, and the red lights go out, and the whole field accelerate down to turn 1. And obviously the usual bit of jostling, a slight lock up there for the racing team Netherlands Lara. I think had Van der Gaard starting it. In the background, we've got one of the Ford GTs going off wide there, as the cars all scream down the hill through to Ogen Radeon. In GTM, we've got the Spirit of Race Ferrari hitting another Ferrari, and then Mike Wainwright heading into the barrier in avoidance. That brought out the first safety car, so while the safety car was on track, The Porsche that was unfairly disqualified came out of the pits a full lap behind everyone else to rejoin the back of the safety car queue. Cracking battle in GTM between Project 1, Proton, and Aston Martin racing cars. Aston Martin going around the outside at Blancpain. Then we got the two Fords here, as Harry Tinkenall had a big off at Eau Rouge. He said it was about 29G. He walked away from it, thankfully, but that was a long safety car period. Meanwhile, number 7 Toyota was charging through the field to try and get back on the lead lap, with Kobayashi-san behind the wheel, but Fernando Alonso was not having any of it and was actually making life quite hard for his teammate. Meanwhile, the G-Drive LMP2 car was going very well indeed. Into the pits comes the number 1 Rebellion to fix a sensor in the antenna as the number 17 SMP Racing LMP1 car. You got a Ferrari leaving the pits, and FUD. Hit by the Project 1 Porsche, or the EV Motors car that was actually coming into the pits. Bit of a mistake here. Zakin held up behind a GT Pro Porsche, let the Rebellion through into 3rd place. And then safety car came back out again because Izakian had a very sizable accident, and no replay footage of it, but I have seen a photo. Meanwhile, Ford GT passed for the lead of the race in GT Pro at Eau Rouge Radion, of all places. Very good. And then a stunning battle, actually, in GT Pro as the Porsche that was leading just simply ran out of tyres. The tyres just couldn't last that long. And we got one of the Ferraris here going up the inside at the bus stop chicane. Slight bit of body contact there and pushed the 91 off the circuit. Meanwhile, in GTM, it was a battle between the Aston Martin racing car and the TF Sport Aston Martin. But the Aston Martin racing car held on. It was a win for Ford, for Billy Johnson, Stefan Mucker and Ollie Pla in GT Pro. LMP2, it was G-Drive Racing for Roman Rusinov, Andrea Pizzatola and Jean-Eric Verne. It was a win for Sebastian Buemi, Kazuki Nakajima and some bloke called Fernando Alonso, whoever he is, in LMP1 after Toyota had effectively instigated team orders to make sure that Alonso could win so they could get all the PR from it, which is an absolute travesty given that the sister car was much faster. In fact, Mike Conway, I think, had the fastest 30-lap average of the field.
Can't say I blame them.
So yeah, that was that. That was the 3-minute roundup of the Spa 6 hours. And now, the news.
And now the results, yes. Like Rob had just finished mentioning, Toyota claimed a 1-2 for its TSO50 hybrids.
Should have been the other way around.
Well, the 8-1 with Fernando Alonso, Kazuki Nakajima, and Sebastian Buemi winning from pole. It was Alonso's win on debut, and it was also Alonso's first win since the 2013 Spanish Grand Prix, and his first win at Spa since his F3000 season in 2000.
Yes! It was quite funny, that was.
Second was the sister Toyota of Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, and Jose Maria Lopez, who surprisingly didn't bin it.
Well, that's because he's actually very, very good in a prototype.
Jose Maria Lopez is very, very garbage. But moving on.
He's not. He's a very good driver.
Third would have been the number 1 Rebellion Racing, Rebellion R13 Gibson. However,
they were disqualified.
Yes, of Neil Yanni, Bruno Senna, and Andre Lauder. They were disqualified for having their skid
following
block.
morning.
The following morning for having the skid block to
1.2 millimeters too low.
Yes.
Although Yanni did mention that they were manually saving fuel per lap in order not to exceed the FIA's energy limits. And he said that there's no software like we had at Porsche, so we're just guessing by ourselves plus minus, and that is a lot of time lost, he says.
Well, he didn't have to ride on the curb so much, which is why the skid block was low. So, yeah, I don't think they have much of an appeal there. They can appeal it, but they're gonna lose.
Yeah.
They were 1.2 millimeters under the tolerance, so therefore the sister rebellion in the number 3 of Thomas Laurent, Matthias Besch, and Gustavo Menendez went to 3rd, and the number 4 by Collis CLMP 101 Nismo was 4th. So they had a nice run as well in their car. And LMP2, it was a boring race, really. Not much said there. The G-Drive Orica won for the 2nd time in a row, with Roman Rusinov, Jean-Eric Verne, and Andrea Pizzatola winning.
He is a sneaky silver, Pizzatola is.
Well,
And then it was back when he drove for Algarve Pro alongside Michael Munneman and Sir Chris Hoy. He was basically the team's pro driver in that car. He'd tested a Nismo Super GT car. He's won the Renault RS01 trophy. I mean, he's a blooming good driver, he is.
yeah, he's a good driver. I'll give him that. Second in the LMP2 was the number 38 Jackie Chan DC Racing. Orico 7 for Hope and Sung, Gabriel Aubry, and Stefan Rakelmi. And rounding out the podium in LMP2 was the number 36 Signatech Alpine A470 of Nicolas Lapierre, Andre Negrao, and Pierre Tidier. And GTE Pro, it was a Ford winning, but not the 67 who crashed out, as we saw, or heard actually rather, and that was the 66 Ford GT, who passed for the lead going through Eau Rouge. That was Olivia Pla, Stefan Mucke, and Billy Johnson. And this was Billy Johnson's first win in WEC, and it was also the first win for the 66 in the WEC as well.
Given that's all, well, given that he's not, given that they actually had to change the rules in Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, effectively banning him from competing.
Yes, and
He's a
hopefully he
platinum
has a full
driver.
season in the Super season. Yes, too many seasons in that one sentence.
Yes. Also, one thing you don't want to do, as I've just found out, is kick your desk. It bloody hurts.
Well done, you.
Thank
Second
you.
was the number 92 Porsche GT team of Michael Christensen and Kevin Estrom. And a surprise rounding out third was the number 71 AF Corsa Ferrari 488 GTE of Davide Rigon and Sam Bird. And in GTM, it was the old girl of the Aston Martin Vantage, bringing home another win in the hands of Pedro Lamy, Paul Dallana, and Matthias Lauda, leading home an Aston Martin 1-2 finish. It was the 19th AM class win for Pedro Lamy, and a record 38th GTE win for Aston Martin Racing.
Wow.
Second, like I mentioned, was the number 90 TF Sports Aston Martin Vantage GTE of Sally Ulick, Ewan Henke, and Charlie Eastwood. On debut, a podium for them, I believe.
Yes, and
rounding out the podium was the number 61 Clearwater Racing Ferrari 488 GTE of Wang Sun Mok, Kitasawa, and Matt Griffin. So that was the total 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps.
yes, and I love the fact we've got an image from last year's race.
Oh my god, yes, Penta, that's the wrong one.
I know it
Porsches
is.
in it.
There's Porsche and Porsche.
I just put in WEC in the Google search. I was too lazy to look for the current picture. I know.
Misleading our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, I was going to say, having said Porsche that many times, I'm surprised we haven't summoned Sith.
Don't mention him.
Porsche.
Don't mention him. Speaking of Porsche, actually, they're supposed to be doing demo laps at the Nürburgring 24 this weekend.
Woo!
With the ever so lovely Porsche 919 Evo.
Oh god, have you seen the onboard of that around Spa?
No.
It was 2 seconds slower than their record-breaking lap. For the record-breaking lap, they actually took the camera off the car to save weight.
What a shame. You see, the camera added 2 seconds.
Yeah, but watching
bad.
that
It
car
was
go
worth it.
around Spa was just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Also with demo laps for that, it will be alongside the 956. That's had the record or has the record for overall for the Nürburgring, with
And
in
will
the
have
hands
the record.
in the hands of one Hans Joachim Stuck. So yeah,
You say his second name weird.
I say his name weird. Sorry.
Yeah.
Meh.
But it's alright.
It is what it is. I'm not German, so meh.
Fine.
Oh, thank you, Kazuo. I'll watch that later.
Meine Deutsche ist sehr schlecht, ja.
Moving on.
Moving on. Where is speaking of Dutch angle, where is the Scrimpy?
I don't
Missing
know.
everything.
Where's
Damn it, Scrimpy.
Dutch angle? Yep,
Yes.
there you go. Got that sorted now. At home, I'm currently leaning over.
Shut up. Just shut up. As I mentioned, this weekend is the N24. And there's 150 or so cars entered.
Oh, what? I just noticed something from that picture. They've had to replace Rothmans with racing.
Oh yeah, because it's a public picture. Yeah.
Come on. It's Rothmans. It's one of the all-time classic liveries. I don't care that he was selling cigarettes and smoking is very, very bad.
It's in a public thing, so they have to change it. However, if it was racing in a historic event, it would be allowed the livery as it was ran. However, there were certain rules and blah blah blah.
Oh, that's why some cars have like black stripe instead of the Marlboro logo.
Yep.
Yep. That's why.
Or if you're
Silk
Ferrari, it
cut.
had bars up until the thing. Yeah.
It's like on many modern racing games now that feature the old cut Jag Group C cars.
Just
That
says
is
purple
literally
and-
purple stripes. So you definitely don't know that it was sponsored by tobacco money.
Yeah, it's in the name. It says silk cut.
It's like the Lotus, old Lotus F1 car sponsored by John Player Special.
Everyone knows what that is, though. Pretty much. Actually, no. Everyone knows John Player Special. They just don't know it's back.
Moving on.
Yes. Anyway, moving on past that.
That's what we were actually going to be talking about.
I'm debating. Do I want to mention the entry? Actually, how many SP9 cars are there? Actually, one.
There's quite a lot.
It's 11. Oh,
There's 2 Porsches.
there's actually like 43 Porsches according to the Porsche entry list they had the other day.
That was it. I was only going off the 2 Manti cars, and I think Falcon running Porsche.
Someone had a thing here. Where is it? There are actually there are 43 Porsche 911 and Porsche Cayman race cars. Yeah, in the N24.
Hey, Falcon are running a 911 for Klaus Bachler, Sven Müller, Martin Raginger, and Dirk Werner. Excellent.
Don't forget the BMW M6 as well.
Yes, the BMW M6 for Peter Stumbereck, Steph Dusseldorp, and Alexandra Imperatori and Jens Klingman.
Mhm.
Hold on.
There-
Alexandra Imperatori? China?
Hong Kong, surely.
I thought he was Swiss.
I don't know.
We've just given up at this point.
The Audi Sport has 4 cars, I believe, in the race. The Team Land cars, Team Phoenix, Team
WRT.
WRT. Those are their entries. There are 6 Mercedes AMG teams that
A
are
lot of
factory
drivers.
supported.
Double dutying as well.
Abdulaziz Al Faisal's in this race, I just noticed. for Black
Yeah.
Falcon. Has he driven the Nürburgring 24 hours before?
I think he may have done.
Or oh wait, no, he's always been in the Black Falcon entry, hasn't he? Yeah, of course he has.
Yeah.
Never mind, I'm an idiot.
Aston Martin have got a factory car for Maxime Martin, Marco Sorensen, Nicky Team, and Darren Turner in SP9, and they've also got
Full-fledged Aston Martin factory program because
Cool.
it's the last outing for the old GT3 car with the V12 in it.
Yeah, sad face. They've also got an SP8 class Aston Martin, well, AMR Performance Centre run entry for Jamie Chadwick, Peter Kate, Johnny Adam, and Alex Lynn, with Jamie Chadwick becoming the first female factory Aston Martin driver.
Yep. Should be quick.
Oh yes, it should be. There's
Team
Giga Speed.
Team BWT with another Audi factory driver as well, or factory team rather.
Yeah, BWTR factory team. Maybe.
Oh, there's
Ford.
also the sneaky Porsche factory team and the Team 75 Bernard.
Yes. There's
Matteo Carioli, Andre Lauderer, and Jörg Bursmeister.
there's
Andre
also
Lauderer's in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's also Giga Speed Team Get Speed Performance for Steve Jans, Marek Buchmann, Lucas Luhr, and Jan Erik Sluten. So they're probably not going to do too well, I don't think. I mean, Lucas Luhr's quick, yeah. Jans and Buchmann, I presume, are professional drivers. Sluten, I think, is an AM.
He bad.
Well, those guys have won VLN races, I think, the Giga Speed guys, this season.
Surely that wasn't in an SP9 class, though.
Well, SP9 has 3 different classes.
Sluten only
Oh,
ranked
the
up though.
Masters, the
in his
AM,
career.
Yeah.
something else.
Here you go. Manti Racing have an entry in SP9 for Otto Klurs, Dennis Olsen, Philip Frommenweiler, and a chap called Lars Kern, who is rather handy indeed.
Which one was that one?
Number 12 Manti entry for Otto Klurs, Philip
Oh, yes, yes.
Frommenweiler. Because it was Lars Kern who set the Nordschleife
Philip
record in the
Frommenweiler,
GT2 RS.
He's in a Porsche. I thought he was a factory Lexus driver.
I don't know.
Interestingly, there's 2 additions to the number 30 Fricadelli Racing team. That's a which that would be Wolf Hensler and Matt Campbell.
As alongside Lance David Arnold and Alex Mueller.
Well, those are the regular drivers, I believe, but Wolf Hensler and Matt Campbell are interesting additions to that. That's not the one Sabine's usually in, is it?
Fricadelli, yeah, I think that's the one Sabine's usually in.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's her team, but she's not. No, interestingly, she's not listed in one of the cars.
I tell you what, I'm liking that old Team 75 Bernard entry. Christensen, Cairoli, Lotter, and Bergmeister.
Because the other Fricadelli car has Norbert Siedler, Marco Seefried,
Felipe Fernandez Laser, and Matt Jaminet.
Yeah.
Marie
but
Jaminet.
No Sabine Schmidt. Interesting.
That's interesting.
There's
Let's see.
Renault RS01
It's got,
with
like I
Kuno
said,
Whitmer in it.
hey?
There's a Chinese. Yeah, Kuno Whitmer's in the Seoul Renault RS01 in this BX.
Wow.
For the GT Tronics 360 team.
Oh,
There's a
Cravontic
Chinese
regulars.
entered one thing.
Right. I was gonna say the Cravontic regulars for Pro Sport, Charles Putman, Charles Espenlaub, and Joe Foster are joined by one Mr. Xavier Masson in SP7 in a Porsche Cup car.
Oh, they've come back to Porsches again.
Yeah, they should be pretty high up actually.
Oh yeah, and there's also the Toyota Gazoo Racing Lexus LC NSP Pro.
For Tsuchiya, Matsui, Nakayama, and Nai and Gamu-san.
All the Super GT drivers in one car, yeah.
Ooh, they could, because that car is almost GT3 spec. think.
What even is SP Pro? That's a special class just for them, I think.
I guess.
Because I don't see any more entries of that class. So yeah.
Here you go. We've got Team 9 und 11. Team 9 and 11 have got an entry. They've got a Porsche GT3 Cup car.
You just like it because it says Team und 911.
No, Team 9 und 11.
Whatever.
Das ist im deutsche Jahr.
You and your crap German.
I can just picture Penta face palming every time I start speaking German.
Yes, he's going, kill me.
Yeah.
SP3T has the Subaru in it again.
Ooh,
Carl
that's.
Van Damme, Tim Schrick,
Hideki
Hideki Yamauchi,
Yamauchi.
and Sakuto Iguchi.
So I think Yamauchi and Iguchi are the Super GT drivers, and I think Van Damme used to drive in Super GT as well.
Carlo Van Damme has been a long time driver for STI in the century. So is Tim Schrick.
Yeah. Oh, Hofer Racing event got a car for Chantal, Michael, and Martin Kroll alongside Alex Prince, and then another car for Roland Eggerman, Bernd Krupa, and Martin
They're
Kroll.
SP6 with an M3 GTR.
What?
That's an old GT2 car from back in the day, isn't it?
They have actually two cars entered in. The 78, 79, the 78 being an M3 GTR, and the 79 being an M3 CSL and SP6. So, Penta has some favorites there.
Go figure.
No.
Oh, yes, so I found another one we went on air. Car number 96.
Oh god, no.
www.klickversicherung.de Team. God damn it, I've said that wrong.
Yes, you did. Well done. Trying to be fancy and you ruined it.
Click.
Just give
Versicherung.
up.
Okay, I will. In other news, Connor D. Filippi's driving for racing in SP9 alongside
Yes.
alongside Martin Tomczyk. Tomczyk.
Oh,
Alex
you beat me
Sims and
to
Jesse
it.
Crone. The second row racing car currently has John Edwards, Richard Westbrook. Yes, the Ford driver in IMSA, Richard Westbrook, and Nicky Katzberg.
Oh well, Richard Westbrook has always had the BMW drives at the Nürburgring. Yeah.
And brilliant! Jörg Müller is driving for Valkenhorst, car number 100 in a SP9 LG. The car, it's the old Z4.
Ah, that's what that means. Then. Last generation.
That's gonna be bringing some pretty serious decibels, I reckon. And in a good way, trust me.
Jordan Tresson's in a.
Yeah, 'cause he's a long-time Valkenhorst driver.
Isn't he a former GT Academy driver?
Yeah, he's the second winner after Lucas Ordonez.
Thought I recognized his name.
But yeah, he's made a bit of a career as in racing in
VLN driver. Ah.
You got the Team BMW Shell Helix in an M6 GT3 for Augusto Farfus, Marcus Pautela, Christian Kruyers, and Fabian Schiller.
Skipping past these, they don't matter.
Oh yes, there is one which does matter.
What?
Number 120, Kissling Motorsport, Olaf Beckman, Peter Haas,
yes, the
Volker
Mansa,
Strycek,
of course.
the
How could I
Mansa.
forget? The Mansa.
Yes, how could you forget the Mansa?
My apologies for getting the Mansa, yes.
Yes. After that are a couple of other entries from Toyota Gazoo Racing Team Thailand.
No, we're not reading that one.
What's wrong with Natavude Charoen Sukaratana or N Charoen Sukaratana?
Are you happy now?
Alongside in the 1-2-3, alongside Manat Kulapalanat, Natapong Hortonkum, and Sutapong Smitacharch. The 1-2-2's got Superfongs, Chen Jianhong, and Arfit Ring Sombun. driving both in SP3 and a Toyota Corolla Altis.
Done? You done now? Reading the Thai names?
Yes, it was good fun, thank you.
Unbelievable. Moving past that, just
They have a whole... Crikey, we almost got an entire page of Porsches if it weren't for another Hofer Racing BMW E36 M3.
another one. Thank you, Kazuo, for the man-side picture there. Yes.
Yes, we are literally just speed scrolling through these because they've got there's quite a lot of cars that we're not going to really be paying any attention to.
And Bernd Schneider are in a Mercedes-AMG GT4 and SP8.
I was going to get to that.
Oh
yeah, I've just got to it.
Interesting. I just
Jeff-
read it, so too bad for you.
As I say, there's a Cup X entry in a Crossbow GT4 for Naomi Schiff, Laura Kryhammer, Dominic Kryhammer's sister, Lena Streck, Strychek, who's daughter of Volker Strychek, I believe, and Rahel Fry. All female driver lineup.
Female KTM Crossbow GT4 there, yeah.
And a very strong lineup
there's
as
a
well.
whole class of KTM Crossbow GT4s in their own class.
Cup X.
X's. Actually, funny that you mention it. Volker Strychek's in the 202 KTM with Ferdinand Stuck and Johannes Stuck.
And since we mentioned 2/3 of the class, the other cars are 203 IMSA Motorsport entry for Arne Hofmeister, Florian Wolf, Nils Jung, and Robert Schroeder.
Did you have to read the other one?
Well, since we mentioned the other 2 cars in the class,
Fine.
that's the only time where it's acceptable to do
My
that.
God, how many Pixum Team Adrenaline Motorsport cars are there? Like what, 7?
Hold on, they could have their own class in this.
I think they do. They're all in the Cup 5 class.
Yes, there are quite a lot of Cup 5 cars. There's also an entire class dedicated to the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport.
That's a Cup 5.
Cup 3.
Oh, I see them now.
Oh, there's also another interesting entry in Class Reutlingen. No, not Reutlingen, Class AT or whatever the hell it is. It's Porsche GT3 Cup for Thomas van Lovis of Menard, Daniel Schnellhaas. Schnell, that's good. Axel Duffner and Smudo.
It says Shellhaas.
Schellhaas, rather.
Yeah.
And Smudo, who's a German rapper.
Smudo.
From apparently, from what Wikipedia has told me. Jeff Westphal's in the Scuderia SCG this year, alongside
Jeff
Andreas.
Westphal has always been in the SCG cars because he's a
Factory driver,
their
I think.
factory driver for them. Yes.
Alongside Thomas Murch, Frank Mayo, and Andreas Simonsen.
Whole class car. Just saying.
Oh yeah, the 831 Hyundai Motors N entry looks quite interesting as well. Peter Turting, Andy Gilden, Manuel Lauk, and some bloke called Nicola Larini.
I only recognize 2 of those names because the other car has all the people who are Hyundai test drivers, I think.
Yeah. Andy Gilden, Peter Turting, and Manuel Lauk, I think, are all Nordschleife specialists. And Larini's, well, he's Nicola Larini. He's an ex-factory Formula 1 driver for Ferrari.
Manuel Lauk, that was, he used to drive the SCG car.
Wow. That's a very strong lineup as well in TCR.
Not a factory lineup there, then?
Well, if it's a factory lineup, the chances are it'd have Gabriele Tarquini in it.
They ran out of drivers.
Yeah. And finally, we got the 2 Manthey Racing Porsches. The first one, number 911 for Kevin Estra, Roman Dumas, Lawrence Van Torno, Bamba. And the second entry is for 912 for Ricard Leitz, Patrick Pile, Fred Makovicki, and Nick Tandy.
Read them properly. It's 911 and 912. Thank you.
Okay, 911 and 912.
There you go. 911 and 912. This 911 and 912. Because then you could say the Porsche 911 GT3R 911. But that's some of the interesting notes there.
It's also European Le Mans Series this weekend for the was of IMSA.
If you say so, yes.
Yes, it is. There are a few driver changes. Cetilar Villorba Corsa now have Felipe Nasser driving for them. There's no other changes I can see in LMP2.
And there are no other changes, is what I was expecting, yeah.
In LMP3, DKR Engineering. Do you think they either A, have their all-silver driver lineup, or B, have been forced to change it?
I don't know, you tell me.
No, they've still got their highly illegal driver lineup. Despite winning the first round at Le Castellet, yet they're still allowed to run 3 silver-graded drivers, which is...
Any more changes?
Yes, car number 20 racing for Poland is a new entry in the class. It's for Henning Enqvist, Tomasz Biltarski, and Alex Fontana. Fontana's currently driving for Emil Frey in a Jaguar GT3 car. And Proton Competition have had to change a couple of their drivers in GTE because Messrs Olsen and Cairoli are a little bit busy this weekend at the Nürburgring, so they've had to bring Jimmy Bruni into car number 88 alongside Gianluca and Giorgio Rosa. And for car number 77, they had to go to the old people's home.
Oh, you mean they had to unretire Mark Lieb yet again?
Again, yes. Mark Lieb has made another appearance. Because if you're the head of customer racing, you might as well test the car, see what it's like. Get a feel for what the customers are experiencing. Now, I can just picture him having to fill out a holiday form to book time off.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a hardship, really. They do that for him.
Yes, he's only a Le Mans 24-hour winner, multiple race winner in many series.
So that rounds up that driver changes for the LMS then?
Yep, just the 43 cars taking part.
Well, how many were there at Paul Ricard?
There were a few more because they had about
there was G-Drive and others. Yeah.
They had a couple of WEC cars there. There was the Signatech Alpine from the Grand Tyria, and a couple of entries in GTE.
Yeah, that's right. With that done,
apparently there's a Formula 1 round this weekend, but
the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend, the IndyCar Grand Prix from Indianapolis, the road course, before we transition to the 2 weeks of madness that is the Indianapolis 500.
The month of May.
The month of May, yes. That's on Saturday, the LMS, like you mentioned. Also the N24, and that about covers the racing that's happening this weekend, really. Other than the NASCAR, of course. If you're so
NASCAR, or whatever it's called.
If you're so inclined, like I said.
Yeah.
And
but we really can't be arsed with it, frankly. Although it is up for sale at the moment, I hear.
I wouldn't know I did that rumor.
Fantastic.
But with our waffling now coming to a head, I'm going to say that it's time to sign off now. So thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.